Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video, I'm creating a dungeon for my SoloDark adventure. I was initially going to choose an adventure from one of the zines, but instead I wanted to create one from scratch that I could have more narrative control over. To begin with, I will follow the instructions in the Shadowdark handbook, which are on page 130. When designing the dungeon, several tables are available, including the dungeon's danger level, size, and type. First, I'll briefly describe the options of these tables and then roll for everything at the end. The danger level is pretty self-explanatory and ranges from unsafe to deadly. I kind of want deadly, as I would prefer to put my characters through their paces and see how long they'd last, as they are only level 1. Or maybe I shouldn't be so cruel. I just like imminent peril and find it much more fun to play. Site size ranges from small to large, so to determine the site size, I will roll a d6 and then a d10s. Let's say I rolled a 3 on a d6. I then take 8 d10s and roll them on a sheet of paper. The number on each d10 die corresponds to a room type. If I roll any 1s or 2s on the d10s, the room type is empty. However, if I roll a 5 for example, it's a solo monster. I promise this will become more clear when I actually do the dice drop and show you how I'm going to draw it up. By this point, I'll have the basic foundations of a dungeon, but what will I fill it with? Fortunately, Kelsey has provided plenty of quick and easy tables for that too. So let's go with my 5 on a d10. That room revolves around a solo monster, but what type? How do I choose one? On page 131, there is a solo monster table, and I roll 2 d6s to give me a prompt on the monster type that I want to include. Right, so it's time to roll the dungeon size. Here we go. Ah, that's a 3, so it's a medium dungeon. This means I'm now going to roll 8 d10s to determine the room types. I'm going to roll my glass d10 last, as it's a bit on the delicate side. Also, because I don't have 8 d10s, I'm going to drop a few d100s and knock a 0 off. So, far left we have a 9. I've moved this one a bit over, as it's rolled off my sketchbook. At the bottom, there is a 90, but we're knocking a 0 off, so that die will also be a 9. According to the table, that's 2 rooms of treasure, which is good, as I was worried I'd get 0 9s and it would all be bad. We need a bit of treasure to incentivise our dungeon crawlers. We've also got a 10 and an 80, or 8. Ooh, we have a boss monster and a major hazard. 2 extremes compared with the treasure, which is cool, as we want a bit of conflict. We also have a 5 and a 4, which are a solo monster and minor hazard, respectively. I'm glad I've got a solo monster, as there's some great options in Shadowdark. Minor hazard seems cool though. I need to remind myself it's minor, as knowing me, I'll insert some sort of death trap. For the glass die, I think I rolled a 6. I did peer down off camera, but even then, I can't quite say for sure. But we'll go for it. Also, I don't think we've had a 6 yet, so it's a nice opportunity to introduce an NPC. The next uncleared die on the far left, I believe is a 7. Note to self, when filming, use higher contrast dice. Okay, so there are no empty rooms here. I'm not sure how I feel about that, as I sometimes like to waste a bit of time wandering around an empty room, especially with a busy dungeon like this one. So a quick recap or summary of our room types. We have 2 treasure rooms, a boss monster, a major hazard, a solo monster, a minor hazard, an NPC, and a monster mob. Now I'm going to visit a set of tables to determine what's going on within each room. I'm going to start with room 7, which is a monster mob. So I rolled a 1 and a 2, which is stealthy minions. I'm not sure why I wrote warriors on my map, as 2 means minions in the right hand column. Room 5 has a solo monster, and I rolled a 3 and a 2, so they are a mighty brute. I'll have to look up monsters in the Shadowdark manual and see what suits a mighty brute best. I may even choose self-roll and roll for it. I won't do that in this video though, as I want it to be a surprise. Next, I'm going to roll for both treasure rooms, so that's a 1 and a 2. The treasure is hidden in either room, and that's fine by me. Now we're rolling for the major hazard. Well, that's another low roll of 2, so there will be a long fall to watch out for. NPC is up next, and again another super low roll. They are hiding. So here this roll bounced off the dice tray and was annoyingly another 1, so I just used footage from a previous roll. The minor hazard here is a shortfall. Very good. I anticipate a few broken or twisted ankles in this dungeon. We're now up to the boss monster, and I rolled a 4. Oh, so they will be guarded by minions. Not bad. To be honest, I hoped it wasn't physically strongest, due to my characters being level 1, but I could always have adjusted that based on their level. A religious leader or supreme sorcerer could have been a great outcome though, given the narrative in my head that I've already come up with. Okay, so that's my dungeon rooms fleshed out slightly. What I need to think about now is the theme of the dungeon. I explored this in a site type table, which I've yet to roll. Depending on the role, my dungeon could be a cave, tomb, deep tunnels, or ruins. To be honest, all of these would work very well with my fledgling backstories for my characters. So I'm not too bothered about what I get for this. Finally, I got a higher roll, a 6, which is ruins. This is great, as it leans into Sneetch's backstory of looking for an artifact to protect his church from the blood riot. To be honest, I was secretly hoping for that one, so I'm glad that's what I got. Next, I'm going to roll for the dungeon's overall difficulty. I always like lethal quests, so I'm hoping for a high roll, but I doubt I'll get a 6 again. Ah, that's a 3, oh dear, so it's unsafe. Not even risky. Not even one bit risky, actually. Nevertheless, we work with what we have. Maybe this is the universe's way of telling me to take it easy on my characters. So what's next? Well, I want to develop a loose story, and I can do this with the rumours table on page 120. Now, I've already got an idea of my characters' backstories, but there are a few story strands I'd like to tie together. I want to have a solid narrative to draw upon, as it makes playing so much easier and enjoyable. These rumours are similar to the motivation prompts I used in the Mythic GM, but instead of word pairings, they're little story hooks. Now, I can take these rumours quite literally, or use them as a foundation to create a new narrative entirely. So let's see what we get. Well, that's a 75. Right, so let's look this up. Rumour has it the Cyclopean ruins of Yul Tool lie deep within the forest. Now that is very interesting, given my previous roles and outcomes. I'm really enjoying stitching all of these little bits of information together into one narrative. This is, I suppose, is why I enjoy ttrpg so much. I think this is a good time to do a little recap. We have unsafe dungeon ruins with 8 rooms, each containing something that could benefit or challenge my players. One room contains a monster mob of stealthy minions, which could be a bit of a prelude to Big Boss, provided they get that far. Our solo monster is in another room, and is a mighty brute. 2 rooms contain treasure, which is hidden, but how well is it hidden? I'll roll later to determine that outcome. Another room contains a major hazard, which is a long fall. I may use a Mythic GM book to see if I can work on something for this. I don't know why, but the first image that popped into my head was an underground waterfall, so I might go with that, but who knows. An NPC is also hiding in a room. Perhaps they are in the ruins for the same reason as our players. There is a minor hazard in another room, which is a shortfall. However, the most interesting room is the boss monster. Perhaps this could be the Cyclops, who is awoken by explorers trying to steal the treasure within its ruins. My next video will be playing the one shot I created in this game, so there are some things I need to work on between now and then. If you've enjoyed this video, I've got a few more that cover Shadowdark, including a brief how to play guide, and another that takes you through how I developed my characters for this very dungeon I've just planned. Anyway, that's all for today, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.